What the sketchy, my viewers? I'm back in these YouTube streets with a special story that I've titled GangFall. Because that's what you want to do if you join the gang. You're gonna fall down to the ground. Hopefully you don't die doing it. If you're young and you're thinking about joining the gang or whatever, tune into this story right here. Got a bonus too. Did a song by the same name, GangFall. Fire music to complement this fire YouTube street story. So let's get into it right now. In the heart of Chicago, Chirac's South Side, where the city's struggles and resilience were painted on every street corner, lived a teenager named Quantavious, raised by his single mother, Lisa, in a neighborhood plagued by gang violence. Quantavious dreamed of breaking free from the cycle of poverty and violence that had gripped his community for years. As he grew older, Quantavious found himself drawn to a local gang, the Black Kings, that's KVNGZ. Seeking the sense of belonging and protection they promised. The gang offered a surrogate family that he never had, and the allure of power and respect was hard to resist for a young boy yearning for importance. Under the influence of older gang members, Quantavious was gradually indoctrinated into the gang's way of life. He began participating in petty crimes and territorial disputes, all while hiding his involvement from his mother, Lisa. Despite working 2 jobs to support them, who always sensed the change in her son, but was too afraid to confront the truth. She knew he was in a gang, or headed there. One fateful night, the gang's leader, a man known as BGR Machete, summoned Quantavious to a secret meeting. The 6'3", dark-skinned man had heard of a rival gang's growing influence and decided it was time to send a message. Quantavious was tasked with a dangerous mission: eliminate a rival gang member named Miguel, who had been encroaching on their territory. With a heavy heart, the reluctant gangster agreed to carry out the mission, his mind filled with a mix of fear, anger, and loyalty. He spent days stalking Miguel, learning his habits and routines. The closer he got to the day of the mission, the more he felt the weight of his decision. He knew that this act would change his life forever. Forever, ever, but he also believed it would solidify his position with the gang. Gang. The night of the mission arrived, and Quantavious approached Miguel's hideout. As he lurked in the shadows, heart pounding in his chest, he felt a surge of emotions that he had never experienced before. Doubt and regret mingled with a sense of duty and the need to prove himself. That's where the problem comes in, when you have to prove yourself. Just as he was about to abort the mission and come up with an excuse as to why he didn't follow through, a door creaked open nearby and a figure stepped out into the dark alley, causing Quantavious to involuntarily squeeze the hairpin trigger of his modified Glock 21 handgun, riddling the figure with several loud rounds, which immediately unalived him, causing their lifeless body to crumple to the grimy, trash-littered ground. Time seemed to stand still as the still anxious teen quickly stuffed a warm gun inside of his counterfeit Louis Vuitton fanny pack before fleeing the scene. The reality of what just happened hit Quantavious like a freight train. Horror and despair consumed him as he realized he had just taken someone off of the planet and they would never return. He ended a phone call with BGR Machete, to whom he'd given details of the assassination to, as he walked through his front door calling out his mother's name. Quantavious' mind had just begun relaxing as he hopped in a hot shower, ate dinner, and played an hour or so of Call of Duty before he realized that his mother hadn't made it home yet from the freelance cleaning job that she did on the side to boost the meager earnings she made as a manager at Taco Bell. When he called the phone number, he got a surprise. A burly-voiced Caucasian man answered the phone, identifying himself as Detective Peterson of Chicago PD. He revealed that he was just about to call Lisa's phone contacts as he was conducting an investigation, which caused Quantavious to impatiently shout into his iPhone's mouthpiece, demanding to know what happened to his mother. The veteran officer then just blurted out that the innocent woman had been slain in a dark alley, in between two apartment buildings in a deadly part of town. And as he mentioned the street names, they hit the skinny teen like a punch from a 20-year-old Mike Tyson. That's where I just hit Miguel at, he thought to himself before realizing what really happened. As the detective began asking a series of questions, ending with wanting Quantavious to come down to the crime scene to properly identify his mother, he abruptly ended the phone call with the cop as one of the captains in his gang called, yelling threats at him in a frenzied voice. Come to find out, Miguel was alerted to the attempted hit after hearing the shots earlier and notified his gang, who all then planned an attack on the Black King's headquarters. In the battle, BGL Machete took 2 rounds to the face, which ended his time on Earth. The remaining members put information together and realized that Quantavious didn't successfully complete his mission earlier, which caused a snowball effect. The gang rivalry, the promises of power and belonging, all of it crumbled in the face of the irreversible tragedy he had just caused. As sirens wailed in the distance, the defeated thug gathered up as much of his belongings as he could squeeze into a Nike backpack and rushed out of the apartment, intending to flee the state. Realizing the true cost of his choices, the gang life that had once seemed so alluring now felt like a curse that had torn his world apart. In that moment, surrounded by the consequences of his actions, he vowed to break free from the cycle of violence that had claimed his mother's life. In the aftermath, Quantavious eventually turned himself in to authorities, confessing to the terrible act he had committed. He faced the consequences of his actions, finding solace in the hope that his sacrifice might serve as a wake-up call for others trapped in the same cycle of violence. The tragic events of that night were a turning point for the community. Quantavious' story served as a sobering reminder of the destructive nature of gang violence, prompting conversations and initiatives to address the root causes of crime and provide support for rat use risk. Quantavious' journey was one of pain, remorse, and redemption, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always the potential for change and healing. So it didn't turn out right for Quantavious. It doesn't turn out right for any gang member. I mean, you could interview gang members from the time they join until the time, you may as well say the time they die, because even if you go to jail, it's death, because you're dead in there. Time stops. So what's the point of joining a gang, especially in 2024 or currently? What's the point in joining a gang? Protection? And when you have gang members set trip on you, the same brothers that are supposed to protect you want to kill you, like in Quantavious' case, it's silly. Save your life. Go to school if you're young. Save your life. Get out of the gang and move and relocate if you already caught up. Now, it's time to check out the song GangFall. It's just as fire, like I said, as this story. Thank you for tuning in.